Hey guys, how's it going? Destry here, and in this video, I'm going to bring you my first impressions of the Enotria, the last song demo. For anybody who doesn't know, this is a Italian Renaissance themed Souls-like. Deals with masks and stuff like that. I won't get too deep into the story. Not really for spoiler reasons. I
The
don't really
tree
understand
of
the story all
change
quite yet.
bears fruits.
But I'm not going to talk through this whole video. I'm going to talk now to kind of get my thoughts across for anybody who
Awaken,
doesn't want to sit through
Maskless
this
One.
hour-long video, which I understand.
The
But I will trip
stage
up again
is
towards the end because
set.
there is a boss fight. And I want to give some tips and tricks to anybody who might be interested in that. I'll put a timestamp or I'll put a little comment down below for when the boss fight portion of the video starts. So if you just want to skip to that, you can go ahead. So what do I think about it from what I've played so far? As you can see, this is about an hour of footage here. Most of this is unedited, so it was about my playtime. I have played a little bit more after this before I decided to record the video. And long story short, if you like Souls-likes and you're okay with a bit of jank, then I think you'll enjoy this. I'm enjoying it, but it took me a little bit to kind of get to where it clicked for me. A lot of that had to do with the performance that I've been dealing with. I have a pretty decent setup here. I'm rocking a 9.9. I got a 4090, so I'm doing a pretty good setup here. I'm on PC. You couldn't tell. And there's a lot of stuttering. It's not as bad later on. I think it mainly deals with when you're entering an area for the first time. There is a massive amount of stuttering. You'll see at points in this video here where I just constantly spin the camera around. And I just do that to see how bad the stuttering seems to be. There are going to be some instances here that you'll see where it like completely throws off where I am and I get kind of confused for a second. I get a little disoriented. So it takes me a bit to kind of make sure I don't fall off a ledge or make sure I'm actually heading the right way. You'll see that here a couple times throughout the video where it does that, so that is one thing that's going to need to be addressed. It is good that they still have this demo, and the game itself is not coming out for a couple more months. I believe it comes out in September. So that'll give them some time. Hopefully they're going to take feedback from everybody playing the demo and be able to improve on that for the full game. Now, in terms of the game itself, like outside of just the performance issues I'm feeling, the actual combat isn't terrible, but I do have some issues with it. For one, it feels off a little bit. I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly. Some attacks feel great, but some of them feel like they weren't imported properly. I mainly ran with the Great Sword for most of my playthrough so far, just because it felt the best for me. But with that in particular, it might be also with some other weapons. I haven't really looked into it that much. But there's a weird juddering and resetting thing after you do certain attacks with the Great Sword, where he'll do the attack and he looks like he's going to set up in a different default position than what he actually has, and then it automatically switches to wherever the sword's supposed to be at in his hand. That's more of a minor thing, I guess, but it does catch my eye after a while. Now, I don't know if that's maybe if I'm supposed to be doing something different, but you'll see it in the video because I'm going to do it purposely a couple times just because it looks weird to me. I'll say this now as well. Main reason I did most of this unedited is because not only did I just want to show a full blind experience. I hadn't saw anybody else play the demo yet. This is my first experience going through everything. I don't show every little secret or whatever in this video. I can make a follow-up video for any extra little paths and things like that as I get to them, but I really just wanted to give my first impressions and just give the first look of the game, which is why I recorded for about an hour and a half-ish. I will be editing out a lot of the deaths I have, because I do have a lot, and that is I don't want to know if I want to say it's an issue, because that really could just be a skill issue on my part. It's a new Souls game. I haven't really taken the time to acclimate to it just yet. I'm getting there. But, and it's not really all of the enemies, or it was really only 2 so far that I kind of had an issue with. You'll see them towards the end of the video, because they're kind of the same-ish enemy. You'll see what I mean when we get there. I'll explain more once I get to the boss portion of the video. But outside of that, you have, I forget how many different weapon classes you have, and you will get quite a few weapons throughout the game. Even during this little beginning section, I get like 4 or 5. And it's, you know, your swords, long swords, great, well, from what I've gotten so far, it's been great swords, colossal great swords, like hammers or maces, I forget exactly what they call them. And so far, like, there's the actual different weapon variations, like one's an axe and one's like a hammer, but they fall under their own, like, that set of character or weapon classes. Sorry. So, like, I got a big axe towards the end of what I've played, not this video, but what I've played, and it has the same moveset as the greatsword. That's kind of disappointing a little bit. I mean, it's an axe. I feel like it should have, you know, an axe moveset. And granted, it's not the biggest deal. It's, you know, it's still, the greatsword moveset still works fine for it. But yeah, I feel like there could be more variation in the weapon classes, I guess. What else you have in this game? You have your kind of special abilities. The first one, which you're seeing here, is called Ardor Burst. That's what you use to activate rifts and open certain pathways and stuff like that. As again, you're going to see more of me using that throughout this video. Along with all of the crazy stuttering that I keep talking about, it is ridiculous. It did get better for me the more I played into the game, but that is still something that needs to be addressed. Outside of all I've said, if I want to talk about the environment, I think the game itself looks beautiful. I hadn't really seen much visual hiccups outside of just stuttering, like I said. I hadn't seen much of, like, pop-in or stuff loading in the distance. I really haven't seen much of that yet. Now, granted, I could be eating my words and I just wasn't paying attention to that while I was playing, and you could see it in the video if that's the case. My bad. But from what I can remember, I didn't see too much of that during my playtime here. So I do think the game looks great. I like the aesthetic they're going for. I like the whole Renaissance theme they're doing here. Some things that and this is more of a personal thing, I wish, well, maybe I'm eating my own words here, maybe there's more down the line that do look a bit more different, but for the armor, quote unquote, you get, now, I'll preface this now, you don't really equip armor in the sense that, like, you can equip, like, a headpiece, a chest piece, arms, legs. Not like a regular Souls game, it's you equip different masks. And the different mask you put on determines the outfit you're wearing, as well as some of your stats. Like, it'll alter some of your stats and everything like that. And there are different elements in this game that are, you know, kind of like the elements you would see in other games. A lot of them seem to do a buff and a debuff. You're going to be seeing it on the screen here. I left it a bit so you guys can take the time to read that if you please. You can always pause the video and take a look at that. So that is interesting. There's another case of the juddering putting me in a completely different position. But going back to kind of appearance-wise, you might be seeing here that I had a different mask pop up. You can only change your masks when you are at a checkpoint. I don't remember what I think they're called knots in this game. I'm going to come up on one shortly after I finish. I'm trying to mess around with the mask thing before I realize that you can't do it from the inventory, like your pause menu. And that is something that I do hope they change, is you having the ability to equip the different masks in the pause menu. I don't see why that has to be limited to the checkpoint area. Another thing, I'm going to mention this now, but it did annoy me later on. The animation for going into the checkpoint menu takes really freaking long. You're seeing it here. It feels like it takes forever. So I hope if they see this or if other people complain about it, that they can just speed that up, because that just it's a little too slow, especially if I'm having trouble with the boss and I'm constantly going back in there to kind of respec or put on different things to give me an edge. It does get annoying after a while. That did happen to me later on in the when I was in the part where I was fighting the boss, because it took me a couple attempts to defeat him. You won't see all of those attempts. I might keep in the first one, but it would really just be like half an hour of me constantly dying. And as again, I'll kind of get into my issue with that later on, which might only be a me issue, and that's perfectly fine. I'm kind of trash at these games. But outside of all that, I feel like I've been way more negative on this type of game than I have much other ones. Making sure my microphone's still recording. Sorry. But there are some cool things here. I do like the skill tree system, where you can put in different perks, and these perks, they don't work automatically. You have to input them as, again, in your loadout menu, which is in the little checkpoint menu thing, and that'll let you have different benefits. One of the ones I found useful, because parrying is a big thing in this game. You're going to want to learn how to parry to have a better time. And I will say right now, the first boss is going to be a good way to teach you how to parry. I will say that up front right now. But there's one in particular that gives you health back whenever you successfully parry an attack. And I will say right now that you probably want to get that one. That one is going to help you out pretty well in the long run, I feel. But outside of that, and even for the combat, not all of the combat was off. I liked some of it. Like, the impacts of the actual attacks feel good, but when you're swinging a big great sword around and you smash into the ground or you smash into an enemy, it feels good. It feels heavy like it should. I will say the animation is a bit too slow, at least for me. This is kind of an issue I also had with Lies of P. When you're using some of the bigger greatsword type weapons, yeah, they're supposed to be slow, but I feel like it's just way too slow. And that'll be nothing, as I said, you might see it a bit more when I'm fighting the boss. But I feel like if you can evade the opponent's attack correctly and set up for a punish, and even just using your light sword attack, it still doesn't, the enemy still is able to hit you before you can actually get your attack off. And you did everything right, it's just that your weapon is so slow that they can whiff an attack, recover, and still hit you before you can hit them. In my opinion, your weapon is moving too slow, and that needs to be adjusted. Not even by a lot, just a little speed adjustment to make it a little bit faster. And maybe there's a perk later on that does increase your speed, or something you can get later on that increases your attack speed, but I don't think you should need that just for the weapon to be viable in the first place. And as again, maybe this might be more of a personal issue. I like using great swords when I play Souls games, and yes, they're slow. Like you're gonna see here, I'm just messing around with it. It attacks super, super slow. And as again, it's a great sword. I get it's supposed to be slow, but I don't think it should be that slow. There's a couple other weapons that also have that kind of problem. The running attack for the longsword, which is kind of like the regular sword in this game, at least so far. The running attack is also super slow, but that one I can kind of, whatever, just space it out better. And yeah, I know, the same thing for the greatsword too. I just feel like it's less fair when you're doing everything right, and you still get punished just because your weapon is too slow. To me, that feels like that needs to be adjusted. That's not so much a player issue as it is the weapon is just entirely too fucking slow. But anyways, that's really my little critique on what I've played so far. Hopefully, if the devs see this, or if more people have similar issues, they can adjust some of these things that I've mentioned, so the game feels a bit better to play. all in all, I will keep playing more of it. I do think you should give it a shot. It's a free demo. You're not you're not risking anything except for some memory space and some time. But if you like the world in itself, you like the Renaissance vibe, you like the whole mask thing, I would say give it a shot. It's fun. I'm just realizing now that I didn't finish off on a point I was talking about earlier when it came to appearances. Um, I wish some of the armor looked a little different. Like, there's a mask I got later on, and after I made this video of the first spoilers, I guess, I don't know. You can get the mask of the first boss. I think you guys know that. It was shown in trailers and whatnot. And so far, it's my favorite looking mask, and with the armor. But I mean, the armor is visually distinct, but it has a lot of similarities with like the other armors I've gotten so far, like this one and the other armor I've been using. And I kind of wish there was more variation. I wish maybe like your character could put like sleeves on or something like your default costume has. I don't know. That's more of a me thing. That's not, that's not really an issue per se. That's more just me. But that's why I got it on PC. So when mods come out, we can do stuff like that. Or maybe there's another mask later on that does what I'm talking about. But I just really like the look of the mask that I got. But anyways, guys, I'll let you enjoy the rest of this video in silence, like I said, until we get to the boss fight time. Once we get there, I'll chip in again and give my thoughts on how I think you should fight the boss. Like some tips and tricks that I learned, because I fought the boss quite a bit. And I will talk to you guys later.
May he devour us all! Hey! Solo act! character with genuine emotions. Monster, why have you forsaken me?
going to wonderful!
Welcome to Quinta, the city of actors, or what's left of it. Ah, I can almost hear the churning of gears inside that expressionless noggin of yours. Who, what, where, when, why? Hush, hush, my promising prodigy. Head for the castle atop the hill and all will be revealed. Hush, hush.
Don't you play that? The second celestial banquet! Oh, very. Perfect seasoning for flesh. A soliloquy demands emotional depth.
Hush, my...
Alright guys, here's the boss fight I was talking about. This is against Curtis. And I died quite a lot to this. And the reason really I want to make this part is I'm going to complain a little bit more. And as again, I'm going to be fully honest. And I'm perfectly okay with this being just a me problem. Because I was having a hard time adjusting to his moveset. Now, here's my little tips and tricks for step 1. His first phase is way easier than his second one. And if you want to get some practice in, outside of from just fighting him, the enemy that's right outside this boss fight, the one that you saw me kind of run past like a bitch, is basically the same thing as his first phase. He has almost all of the same attacks. So if you want to get some practice fighting an enemy, you can fight him. Of course, if you kill him, then he's gone permanently. But that's still a good way to just kind of get practice in. So if you skipped him like I did, I really would recommend just turning around and fighting him a couple times until you get used to that. Now, the second form is when I started having major issues. Just because A, he seems to do incredibly more damage. Like almost one-shot damage or definitely two-shot damage. And his attacks get a lot faster, a lot more erratic. And the parrying felt off a lot of the times, where I felt like I was doing it right, but it just wouldn't connect. And then also there were some that I feel like parrying just didn't work at all. A lot of those purple attacks that you're gonna see, they should work. Like you should be able to parry those, and I think you can. But for me, a lot more often than not, it felt like it just didn't work. And yeah, I was just having so much trouble with this guy's second phase, which is why it took me so long to actually beat him. You're going to see here, I'm just going to show one death, and then I'll skip to the successful part, because there's legit like half an hour in between, because this boss took me so long. He just roughed for me. But yeah, so there is some movement and control issues that I feel like will get ironed out eventually. That might also just be me too, but there are some times where I'm going to turn a certain way or dodge a certain way, and it just doesn't seem to come out right. I think that has actually something to do with the lock-on, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways, yeah, so my tip, my actual like advice for beating him is going to be to do the first phase kind of like normal. You're going to want to parry all of his attacks. They're not that hard. There's only one or two that might kind of throw you for a loop, but once you get the timing down, it's pretty easy. Make sure you have that perk that I said gives you health whenever you successfully parry an attack. That'll just kind of help you from needing to use your healing item all that much. And just keep doing that. Another thing I'd recommend, just to make the second phase easier so you don't have to deal with it as long, when you get the first critical opportunity, once you get that blue bar at the bottom all the way up, if you didn't know, you've probably seen it throughout the video, the blue bar at the bottom is kind of like their posture meter. So once that fills up, they're going to go into a state where you can do a critical attack. And don't do the critical attack yet. What I would recommend is just do like a heavy attack, or even just let him recover, and then keep doing the same thing. You want to keep from getting his health below half. You're going to see in the successful attempt, I kind of bumped that up a little bit, but it still ends up working out in my favor. So what I would recommend is just get his health as low as you can without getting it to the half or below half. Just get it like just above that, so he stays in phase 1, and then get the riposte thing then. So get the blue bar raised up and then go after the attack. And then he'll still have some health left, but he should be low enough to where if you're careful enough, it won't take that long to finally kill him. And my advice for phase 2 is, instead of trying to parry everything like phase 1, just try to focus more on dodging. If you're using a faster weapon than what I'm using, you might have more windows to punish than I did. But yeah, that's I don't really know what else to say. If you're in phase 2, just do more dodging. If you stay on the boss and kind of circle around his left, that should give you better luck. So kind of like most giant type Souls bosses, if you stick to their left side, you'll have a better chance of just avoiding a lot of their attacks without even needing to dodge. But there's a couple that will still get you, and his movement speed can kind of get erratic at times. But yeah, just keep to his left side. I would focus more on dodging than parrying. You can parry things every now and then, but for the most part, I would say just focus on dodging. And yeah, just, attack whenever you see an opening. You can use your special arts. I don't remember what their name is. There's one you get pretty early on that lets you throw a spear. I'd recommend getting that one. It does decent damage, and it's just good if you want to back away and heal but still get some damage off. I'd recommend doing that. And yeah, I hope this helped you out. I hope this let you make a decision on whether you want to try this game out or not. And either way, guys, I'll talk to you later. Got a couple more videos coming out. Xenoverse 2's update is coming out shortly, so there's that. Some other things coming down the line. I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.